Hi, I'd like to talk about Xcode a little more here. And here I've launched Xcode, and you can see it has a startup screen. And the startup screen includes a list of, new projects or new elements that you can create. You can create a new project or a new playground, a new project, or open an existing project. On the right side here, it has a list of projects that have already been created, so you can open up one of your existing projects if you like. Let's create a new project. So I'm going to choose Create New Project. And notice that this option here and these other options are actually available also on the File menu. So you can choose, oops, wait, let me get into Xcode there. You can choose New, Playground or New Project. Okay, so I'll choose New Project here. This is the same as clicking the button there. And when I create a new project, it opens a window here. And a project is different from a file because a project contains a lot of files, a lot of stuff, So when you're creating a new project, Xcode gives you the option to, rather than create all the files one by one, it gives you the option to start from a template. And on the list here, you can create software for iOS or for OS X. So it groups the elements into these two categories. So if you're going to build for iOS, you're going to choose something out of this area. And if you're going to build for OS X, you would choose one of the options down here. So I'm going to build a new application. So I'll choose iOS application. And, in this area, it shows me some of the default templates that are built in. So there's a master detail, a page-based template, a single view, a tabbed application, or a game template. For this example, why don't we choose a master detail application? Okay, so I'm going to choose this, and then I'll click Next. In the pane here, it's going to ask me to give my project a name. So I'll name this master detail example. Okay, and then every project will have an organization assigned to it, and this can be your name or the name of your company, or you can decide what you put in there. The organization identifier can also be anything you like, but if you publish your software, this should be something unique. You can't use the same identifier that's used by another company. A common scheme is to use a reverse domain name. Since domain names are unique, if you use your domain name here, it'll be unique to your company. I've put the domain name in here in reverse, so it goes com.webdevils. So my website is webdevils.com, right? And then at the bottom here, you can choose a language for your project, which in my case will be Swift. You can also choose Objective-C if you like. And then choose a device. So the device can be, iPhone, iPad, or Universal. And Universal app would work on both. To keep things simple, I'm just going to choose the iPhone option here. And then at the bottom here, there's another option to use core data. And core data is another feature of Xcode that allows you to save data and organize data in sort of a database format. We're not going to use that for this, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. And then I'll click Next here. And it'll ask me to save my project. So I'm going to put my project on the desktop and click Create. And then there's Xcode. So now here's Xcode, and it has my project open. And you can see that Xcode is divided into 3 panes. So the pane on the left side here is sort of a project navigator, and the pane in the center here is an editor, and the pane on the right side is a utilities pane that has options for working with whatever you have open at the time. Xcode has a lot of features. It's a giant, massive application, and it would be impossible to talk about every single feature here. Don't let that stop you from using it, because there's plenty of things that you can do without having to understand every nuance and every single feature of Xcode. So, essentially, when I select this element here at the very top, this is always sort of the master project file. Okay, and when I select that, it gives me information here about the project and how it will be built and how it will be published and things like that. So it's sort of a overview look at our project. Inside these folders here, you can see various files, and when I click on those files, then they open here in the editor. So for example, when I see these files that end in .swift, those all contain code written in the Swift language, and then I can see them in the editor. And when I click on master view controller.swift, then it shows me the contents of the master view controller file here. There's the detail view controller file, and it shows me the code that's there. And then there's the storyboard file. These Swift files are basic text files, and they just contain the Swift code. When I click on the storyboard file, you can see it moves me into this editor that is sort of a graphic editor that shows me how the project works. So this project is really built on 3 view controllers. There's a navigation controller here, and then there's a table view here that shows a list of items. And then there's a detail view here that just has a label in the center. Okay, so this was just the template app. Okay, when you're editing anywhere in the program, when you select an element, for example, when I select this this label here, the right column shows me a bunch of options having to do with that element. So when I click on the label, you can see it says, label, and then it gives me text as plain, and it shows me the text that's actually typed into the label there. And then it gives me the color for the text and the font and the alignment for the text. You can see I can change the alignment, and then a bunch of other options. So this UI text label here has a lot of features, okay? And in the utilities pane, there's a lot of options for everything. So this is actually divided into several different sub panes. So this is the basic. The one in the center is the properties, and this is what you're usually going to set. But then also, every element can have a custom class assigned to it. It can also have dimensions, so clicking here determines like how it's displayed on the screen. Okay, so anyway, so there's a quick tour of Xcode.